Welcome back, everyone. You're watching The Daily Driver for April 3rd, 2009. I'm Philippe Kahn, and I want to thank you for joining us today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. And I want to start and pick up where I left off on the last Daily Driver with news on these April rates for the new BMWs. Gotten a whole bunch of questions, and I'm really flattered, actually, by the response. Got a couple of phone calls and emails from as far east as New Jersey, New York, Latvia, Lithuania, Kazakhstan. And there are a lot of questions on these 3 Series rates and residuals, focusing mostly on the 3 Series. And that is where BMW did kind of reshuffle the deck, and it seems to be where most of the interest is. So let me just recap so it all makes sense. With regards to the coupes and convertibles, you now have subvented money factors lower than they were in March, plus you're getting $1,000 worth of lease cash. That's one way to do it. You can also take their 0.9% up to 60 months. There is no finance cash, there is no trunk money on that car, there's no 2-payment program. That's the deal. On the sedans, particularly the 328 sedan, you've got a subvented money factor and $1,000 of lease cash. That's one way to do it. Or you can take 0.9% financing up to 60 months. On the 335 sedans, and this is where most of the confusion lies, I think, all the 335 sedans have the same program. I'm talking about the gasoline, the diesel, and the all-wheel drive models. And that program is the same money factor across the board, $215. That is one way to do it. The other way is to take 3.9% financing from BMW Financial Service and combine it with $1,500 worth of finance cash. The last way to do it is to take the 3,000 trunk monkeys that BMW is giving you on those cars this month, but you have to either pay cash for the car or finance it with an outside institution. And ladies and gentlemen, if I may so kindly interject right here, in my humble opinion, that is the best way to do a 335 sedan at this point, is to take the $3 grand in trunk monkeys and find your own financing. And if you've got good credit and or got a good relationship with your credit union, you can still get a rate in the 4s. So far and away, that would be the way to do it. Finally, I also got a couple questions on the M3s. No change. Same as it was in March. We've got 2.9% up to 60 months, but the lease rate is standard rates and the residuals are as posted. Finally, not finally, but continuing on, European delivery. Question is, does it qualify? Can I get this in European delivery? Can I order a car and do this? Yes, you can, but you must contract the car prior to May 31st, which is when all of these programs expire. BMW used to allow us to lock these things in for 90 days. Not so anymore. They want these sales right away. So yes, you can order a car and pick up these rates. You can do an ED and pick up these rates, but you got to contract prior to May 31st. On an ordered car, that means you got to order pretty much now. And on an ED, that means you need to take delivery in the first week of June or so. Maybe as late as the 10th or 12th of June, but no later than that because the car won't have a production number and you couldn't contract it. So I hope that clears things up for the 3 Series. Also wanted to share with you some big news. I actually spoke about this on the Daily Driver a couple of days ago. I said that BMW was going to come out with some special rates on the X3s, and now they have. They didn't do it originally on the 1st, but they've given us a follow-up salvo. And on the X3s, we now have a lease program. I was going to say a decent lease program, but it's a lease program. You've got a subvented money factor and a 53% residual at $15K, 36 months. It's an okay deal. I'll leave it at that. But I think the real news here is you also now have 1.9% financing up to 60 months. And finally, you also have another option. If you can find your own financing or just pay cash for it, 4,000 trunk monkeys in that case. And again, I think that is the way to do it if you want an X3. Got a lot of questions about why BMW has abandoned the X3, why there are no more rates and residuals on that car, why the $300 and $400 leases that we used to have on that car are gone. And let me just be frank with you folks, that is a lame duck model right there. We were contracting with Magna Steyr to build those cars. That contract's run out. There is no incentive for us anymore, for BMW anymore, to be building tons of those cars and to be putting lease specials or finance specials out on that car. They really kind of just want to let it go away, and the next model built in Spartanburg, South Carolina should be here early next year, and then we'll pick up again where we left off. But for right now, the leases are not that far off of an X5 payment, so if you really want an X3, again, I would encourage taking the trunk monkeys and then financing it outside. Last bit of news today, folks. All we've been talking about is numbers and financing and BMW FS, and that's fine. I don't mind sharing that with you. But I want to get back to some good old-fashioned car talk and a juicy rumor coming out of BMW about Project I. What is Project I? I stands for, or at least I think it stands for, Isetta. And if you are a BMW news or BMW history buff, you know what Isetta is. And if you're not, let me tell you. The Isetta was the bubble car that BMW manufactured throughout the 1950s, the mid and late 1950s. Wasn't even our design. We actually licensed it from the Italians, put a bunch of them out there, and frankly, it was probably the only thing in the automotive lineup at the time that was a commercial success. We built some really beautiful cars back then, but they were fairly low production, fairly expensive, not really commercially viable. But that little Italian bubble car, and there are a bunch of pictures out there, a famous one of some actor who escapes me right now, stepping out of an Isetta. It was a fashionable little bubble thing, which sold in good numbers and was actually fairly profitable for BMW. Well, flash forward to today. We now have Project I, which has also been known as the city car or the mega city car by BMW. Looks like we are very, very close to that becoming reality, or that being green-lighted. It's going to be a city micro car, smaller than anything we offer, smaller than a 1 Series, smaller than a Mini, and powered by a pair or at least a couple of different engines. One rumored to be a small displacement gasoline engine, and one rumored to be a full electric version. So, and possibly even a small diesel in that mix as well. And I mention this, folks, because I really do feel that this car might be the future for BMW, at least in the short range. Our V8s, we can build V8s to satisfy a month's supply these days in a day. So I think the future really is in these small cars, and it sounds like BMW CEO Norbert Reithofer is a big fan of this plan and is moving full steam ahead. So hopefully, sometime in 2011, we'll get to see exactly what Project I means for BMW. Incidentally, I should also mention that Project I, it's rumored that BMW head designer Chris Bangle actually left over a fundamental disagreement over where Project I was headed. Just a little factoid there. It's really not known at this point whether it's going to be a separate brand, whether it's going to be a BMW model, whether it's going to be a Mini, or something else entirely. We will find out shortly, folks, but again, I think that's important because I think that might be the future for the BMW brand. All right, that does it for the present of the BMW brand, folks. I'm Philippe Kahn. This has been your Daily Driver. Thanks for joining us.